Alright, so down here, I've just used some paper towels in the trash can to sop up most of that oil. You're not going to get that completely spotlessly clean. There's a couple broken pieces of label that fell down in there. That doesn't matter. But I cleaned off all these surfaces where the O-rings come down and seat. And there's a big O-ring that goes in here. I've cleaned that out. And now we're ready to put the part back in there. This heater hose hooks up to it and this electrical connector. Now, some of these have a third connector or sensor. This one does not. Let me show you. So my old one has this sensor and it had a heater hose. And this right here it's kind of hollow, but if you blow in that, that's completely blocked off. It doesn't allow anything to pass. But there was no sensor there. I'm betting that depends on the exact year, make, and model. But this one does have a sensor there, right? For the ones that take it. But I'll just leave that sensor there and I'll hook it up so it blocks the flow of whatever goes through there and hook the other two up. I'm imagining that's a year, make, and model thing. But I've also taken and put just a little 530 just on my finger and wipe those O-rings so they're nice and supple and they'll seal really well. And I put some around that O-ring so it'll go back down in there right. And now we're ready to go put this part back in the car. Alright, so I changed that connector out. These edges just aren't right on that other one, so I don't know. Wow. The hose clamp won't open far enough. I don't know. I'm gonna grab my needle nose and try to pull on it. We'll open that all the way up. Give it a pull. There it goes. Now I just have to do it back to where it was. So there's around here somewhere. More this way. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so this hose clamp was what I was fighting with to get back on. It was out here and it just would not even expand it all the way with this little safety tab in it. It didn't open enough to get up around that hose, so I had to pull on it with the pliers while I squeezed it, and I finally got it, and I got it back in its original position. So that should seal. There's the connector that's on down here. This one won't get one. It'll just stay empty. And now we're ready to slide this in. Okay. All right, there we go. Just make sure that O-ring's gonna go in again. There it goes. Okay, that's set. So now we're ready to tighten down these Torx bolts. The new ones are right here. Okay. Alright, I just had to do a quick tool organization there. I'm getting a little crazy on my tool cart. Couldn't find things. But now these are E8, so we'll just tighten them in. What I might do is run these down with my electric ratchet. If I can find my 1/4 inch adapter. Okay. Just snug them home with the electric, and then we'll come back and tighten them up. Okay, now we'll tighten these. I'm sure there is a torque spec for them, but they were pretty darn tight getting them out of there. So I'm going to tighten them about as much as it took to break them loose. Just check them all. All right, there we go. And this already has an oil filter in it, I checked. So now we're ready to clean out the intake manifold runners. Let me show you. Okay, now I got me some brake clean. Just gonna spray that on there and go down here and clean off these surfaces where the rubber gaskets sit. Some of those discs aren't coming quite clean. Need to find my clean. Give me a hose. I'm just going to very lightly go over them with this to make sure all the residue is off. You just want them to seal. I don't know if you can see it or not. It just has a cracked head right here. There is a crack running through that. I think that's a crack and not just a scratch. Let me polish it off a little bit with the grinder and see. But if it has a cracked head, it's going to need a new head eventually. It's probably not yet because that's just where it sucks air in. So it's probably not too big of a deal. But if that continues to crack, that will become a serious problem. Holy crap. What a piece of junk. Okay. I can't believe you pay good money for this crap. Anyway, let me get the whizzy wheel out and polish that off. Alright. Alright, so I got my little tool here, and we'll pry these old gaskets out. They're kind of hard. Alright, there we go. Now we are ready. Stick this down here. Put it in. Let's smell a little like brake clean. Before we put it in, we gotta remember to pull out our paper towels out of the head. We don't want to leave those in there. It won't run so well. They'll probably suck those into the valves and never run right again. But you want to put these towels in here so you don't drop any bolts or sockets down on the heads. Okay, make sure everything's good. We're good. Just quadruple check. Alright, there we go. That one started. Okay, I'm gonna get the ratchet out. And we'll just start from the inside and kind of randomize them and make them about as tight as they were when I took them out. Okay, that's good. I think we're set to put the fuel rail back on. Alright, I'm going to do that next. I'm just going to take a little break. Alright, so let me move this out of here. Get it out of my way. Got the air hose. Alright. So I've taken the fuel rail and I've kind of sprayed some WD-40 down these holes really good. Yes, it will mix a little bit with the fuel. It won't matter. But now I've also sprayed some on these O-rings, right? Just to make them nice and slick and help this to go in. You just gotta feed this under everything. And push it back down on there. Over the O-rings. Wiggle the fuel injector back and forth. Get it to go in. There, now that's in. And this one's in. Okay, now we gotta put our screws back in here. And that's these Torx bits. And they go on the fuel injector rails. And this is in the plastic, so you wanna be careful with these screws not to over tighten them. You need to strip them out and you'll be screwed. Literally. And my Torx bit. Okay, those are back down on there. So now we gotta plug our fuel injectors in, and that is these little connectors here have to go down on here, and you have to push the red tabs in. It'd be a whole lot easier to put them on than it is to take them off. It took me an hour and a half to get them all off. Okay, we're set there now. Alright, the fuel injectors are back on, so now I think we're about ready to put the upper intake on. I just have to go through and make sure I didn't forget any wiring or anything. Like this goes somewhere. I think that goes on after the upper intake. It goes on the top of something. All my injectors are plugged in, all my coils are plugged in. Camshaft position sensors look good. I did pull a spark plug out of this last night, and the spark plugs look like they're good. They look like they have been replaced. They probably have about 30 or 40,000 miles on them, and they're like a nice Champion double platinum plug. They don't not shown hardly any wear. So we don't. Alright, so I patched up my little brake so that can go in there. A little piece of heater hose over the top. And that will fix that brake. I think I'm about ready to put the lower intake on. I'm going to just leave that disconnected back there, and I'll put that on after I get this back in the upper intake. Get everything set up. I think I have got everything set here. So we're ready to put the upper intake on. We'll pull out our paper towels. Make sure these gaskets are pushed down tight. They all are. And we're just going to clean this stuff off with a little brake clean. Make sure that she seals. That's WD-40. This down. Now this has this little bolt right here that has to go through this bracket right here, which is really the hardest part of doing this. You have to loosen the bottom bolt and kind of move this thing here as much as possible. And yeah, I'm gonna play heck just getting it all done, but once that goes on, you're home free. There it goes. There's our bracket. Okay. And these shorter ones that go down here. Now the big long ones have to go here. Now we're going to go through and just tighten these, and they just get snug. These are in the plastic. They're threads in the plastic. You don't want to over tighten. And we'll just randomize them around a little bit. Okay, upper intake is on. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and hook up my broken tube now. Hook it up. Put that in there. That's good. Okay, so broken tubes are repaired. So we got this 10mm nut. It's down under here. I can't really show you to you, but there's a bolt and a nut that goes in there to hold that on. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on. get down in between those wiring harness connectors and get the other bolt. Okay, there, that's back on. Okay, now we have to get this back in. This is going to be fun to do, because this little piece is a pain in the butt, because that hose is really inflexible. That has to go over there, and this all has to go in here. Okay, now we gotta put our hose clamp back on. Okay, there we go. Let me show you. Alright, so this is the piece that has to go back on. That hose is really hard. It has a really long piece of metal under it too, so you can't really slide it off. This has to go in, this thing has to go in the intake manifold that's too long to come out. With the hose hooked up, it's just, you just have to fight with it. But you'll get it eventually. You'll get it eventually. Now, it might be easier just to take the intake off and loosen that hose and slide the whole thing off. I just didn't do it that way. But yeah, pain in the butt. It's a real pain in the butt. Chrysler could have just designed that a little different and it would have been fine. But you know, they could make bolts that come out instead of these studs, right? And then you don't have to move it and take it off. You can just, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's back on. So we're ready to start hooking up some wires and doing some throttle body stuff.